For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info about this radio reading service, Navalins, and the Blind Community Thrift Store at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. The Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service will begin shortly. We will be reading local news from around the Southwest Missouri area, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. on YouTube, KSMU, and on the Audio Reader Network at Kansas University. For more information, please visit us at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. Please stay tuned as our broadcast will start soon. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel now. At Blind Community Thrift Store on YouTube, and more info.
Oh, I know. Yeah, it lists on both of them, and I'm supposed to put my initials on them.
The time is 10 a.m.
Thank you for tuning in to the Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service. My name is Pat, and I'm here with Tony. We invite you to listen to our broadcasts both live and on demand. Our live sessions are available on the Blind Community Thrift Store YouTube channel Monday to Friday between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m. each week. Additionally, you can access on-demand content through the Audio Reader Network, which offers a wide range of audio materials for the visually impaired community. To explore content from the Audio Reader Network, please visit www.reader.ku.edu. The site provides details about accessing content via Amazon Alexa, the Audio Reader Network mobile app, and information on receiving a radio to listen to the broadcast by KSMU Radio. All broadcasts are played over KSMU's subcarrier airwaves at 67 kilohertz on 91.1 from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Contact Audio Reader Network for information on receiving a pre-programmed radio. And I apologize if I ever say audio radio, it's just there for me. We're going to start with Tony this morning.
All right, thank you. We're going to read about the Campbell Avenue pedestrian bridge. The pedestrian bridge crossing South Campbell Avenue near Primrose Street will be removed and replaced as part of a larger project to improve safety on two high-injury segments of the critical corridor, funded in part by the $13.8 million federal grant recently awarded to the City of Springfield. In total, the grant will bring more than $17 million in improvements to South Campbell, including the 20% local match required by the Safe Street and Roads for All implementation grant from the U.S. Department of Transportation. Improvements will be concentrated on two priority segments of Campbell identified as part of the High Injury Network in the Ozarks Transportation Organization's Destination Safe Streets Regional Safety Action Plan, Republic Road to Walnut Lawn Street and Sunshine Street to Minota Street. Scott Bachman, transportation planner with the city's Department of Public Works, said the city applied for the grant in 3 segments in case there was only enough funding for partial awards, with Republic Road to Walnut Lawn split into 2 at Primrose. We tried to craft the application in a manner that they could pick and choose segments if that was the case, Bachman said, but fortunately, they funded the entirety of the application. so we kind of just, for simplicity's terms, simplified it down to referencing 2 segments looking forward. Bachman said the north segment between Sunshine and Minota sees about 20K cars a day, while the south segment carries about 40K cars per day. While the exact design and placement of improvements have yet to be determined, the city has identified key components of the project, labeled the South Campbell Avenue Priority Corridor Project. Improvements to both segments include safety, medians, sidewalks, stormwater upgrades, and traffic calming measures. One of the more visible improvements will take place near Campbell and Primrose, where the teal-toned pedestrian overpass is set to be torn down and replaced. Dubbed Prairie Pass, the recognizable bridge was dedicated in 1979 and completed in 1980, according to the 2021 article in the Springfield News-Leader. At the time, Campbell was under jurisdiction of the Missouri Department of Transportation. Due to the nature of development along the corridor, Bachman said the city will likely build the new bridge in the same location as the current bridge, meaning there will be a period of time in which there will be no pedestrian overpass. So we will need to make some accommodations for the interim period of time when the bridge is not available, Bachman said, suggesting the possibility of an enhanced crosswalk at Campbell and Primrose. In addition, the south segment will see Campbell widen to 6 lanes between Primrose and Walnut Lawn. Campbell is already 6 lanes between Republic Road and Primrose. In the north segment of the project, the city is planning to upgrade the intersection at Campbell and Portland Street and add protected turn lanes. Bachman said they are evaluating the possibility of new signalized intersections or a roundabout. While the safety improvements will be concentrated on Campbell, Bachman said they will also consider installing traffic calming measures on adjacent streets. The project will build upon various safety upgrades already completed along South Campbell, including intersection improvements at the Republic Road and Grand Street intersections, as well as upcoming improvements at Campbell and Walnut Lawn. Sunshine between Kansas Expressway and Glenstone Avenue is also poised for improvements following the completion of the Sunshine Street Corridor Study, which has involved multiple rounds of public engagement. Public Works recently secured authorization from the City of Springfield Council to apply for up to $25 million of federal Better Utilizing Investments to Leverage Development grant funding to improve the city's portion of Sunshine. Like the grant for Campbell, this grant would also require a 20% local match. In the coming weeks, the city will begin working on a grant agreement with the U.S. Department of Transportation for the Campbell Avenue improvements, a process that is expected to take 6 to 12 months. Once the grant agreement is in place, the city will begin the project design and public engagement process, which Bachman estimates could take at least 12 to 18 months. While the city already has an idea of the safety issues and improvements it wants to make along the corridor, Bachman said that public input will help identify how to properly and appropriately apply those. Public engagement will occur throughout our project delivery process, Bachman says, and will help inform what we are able to apply and at what locations, and to what degree we can reduce the crashes. The people who travel the corridor, Bachman continues, on a regular basis can provide insight to the process as well. Upon execution of the grant agreement, the city will have 5 years to spend the funding, which will be provided as a reimbursement. The project segments were selected in part based on the time frame, Bachman said, noting that the city also looks at crash rates and other criteria of the grant program. We wanted to make sure we could, if the grant was awarded, that we could deliver the project within the time frame, the grant parameters, and not risk biting off more than we could chew, so to speak. Bachman noted that the city would also need to budget time for negotiations and acquiring any additional right-of-way needs. This article was brought to you in part by Jack McGee of the Springfield Daily Citizen. Back to you.
Well, we've got quite a few less than positive news stories today. Here's a very short one. The parents of a child sue Mercy Springfield after their diabetic son died in the ER. A couple from Travis County, Texas, sues Mercy Springfield this week, alleging their son, George Lebrano, died because he did not receive proper care from emergency room staff. Lebrano died on December 16, 2024, but this is a recent lawsuit. According to the lawsuit, he had type 1 diabetes and visited the emergency room that day because he was vomiting, experienced spasms in his back, and exhibiting critically high blood sugar. His condition allegedly worsened over the course of several hours while he waited for treatment. According to an online obituary, Lebrano, 24, was a gentle soul who excelled academically, loved nature, and held fast to his Christian faith. In March of 2024, he moved to Springfield to become a mechanical design engineer at Paul Mueller Company. Attorney Grant Weimeyer, who filed the lawsuit on behalf of John and Michelle Lebrano, emailed the Daily Citizen a written statement from his parents. Our family is forever changed by George's death. We miss his joy and laughter on a daily basis, and his absence leaves a hole that can never be filled. Over the short time George lived in Missouri, he found a community that welcomed him with open arms. Our entire family fell in love with Springfield and the amazing people we met visiting him every chance we got. We're bringing this action because we want to see change in whatever hospital policies, procedures, or personnel that led to George's death, so no other Missouri family has to endure the devastating loss we're living with. Parents allege medical malpractice. Lebrano entered the emergency department at around 1:30 p.m. on December 16, 2024, and waited until approximately 5:35 p.m. to be brought to a treatment room, the suit states. While Lebrano was waiting for care, he allegedly complained multiple times to staff that he was struggling to breathe. He also told staff that he was feeling weak and his blood sugar monitor and insulin pump were not working properly, according to the suit. At 4:40 p.m., Lebrano allegedly told staff his insulin pump had not been working for more than 45 minutes. When he was taken into treatment room around 5:35, Lebrano lost his pulse and went into cardiac arrest, the lawsuit states. Emergency medicine Dr. Patrick Craddock allegedly attempted to resuscitate Lebrano by administering CPR, giving him IV epinephrine and intubating him. Diabetic ketoacidosis is a complication of diabetes in which acids build up in the blood to levels that can be life-threatening if left untreated, but with prompt attention can be treated with fairly non-invasive measures and reversed within hours. Instead, the decedent waited untreated in the waiting room for nearly 5 hours despite displaying clear symptoms of diabetic ketoacidosis, and at 6:01 p.m. he was pronounced dead from the complications related to the conditions, the lawsuit states. Mercy Springfield, Craddock, and nurse practitioner Kimberly Wilkerson are named as defendants in the lawsuit. It claims the staff who oversaw Lebrano were careless and negligent in failing to use that degree of skill, care, learning, and judgment ordinarily used under the same or similar circumstances by members of their profession. A spokesperson for Mercy Springfield provided the hospital's official statement. We extend our heartfelt prayers and condolences for this family's devastating loss. We have and will continue to work with the family and their counsel to work towards a resolution. Through the lawsuit, Lebrano's parents seek actual and compensatory damages for their son's expenses and other relief as the court deems just. This story has been updated to include the statement from the Lebrano's family. This story was submitted by Zoe McIntyre to the Springfield Daily Citizen on February 6th. It was updated on February 7th, 2026. Tony.
Thank you. And now to talk about Jack Bryson Bowden and how he was able to release 52 songs in a single year. Springfield area musician Jack Bryson Bowden wrote his first song when he was in 8th grade. He's written plenty of songs in the years since, but they mostly live in his brain and on the page. Ever since the songwriting bug hit me, Jack said, I've been writing songs, sometimes in spurts, sometimes in gushes, and sometimes there's a drought. He continued, he's written hundreds of songs and only recorded a few when he lived in Lubbock, Texas. But that hasn't sat well with the multi-instrumentalist. I feel like I've got all these songs and I haven't recorded them, and there's been something bothering me in my life. Something's not complete, he said. It's like an anxiety, and I realize it's these songs that I have in cages in the basement. I need to set them free. Bowden did just that and set 52 of them free over the course of the last year after he made a New Year's resolution to release one song per week. He accomplished his goal in the first week of February with Won't You Please Come Home. Bowden's peripatetic life led him to the Ozarks about 25 years ago. He was born in North Carolina and raised in places like Texas, New York, Virginia, Michigan, and even the western Pacific island of Saipan. He grew up listening to his parents singing and harmonizing, and he and his 4 siblings joined in as they got older. Piano lessons didn't stick, but Bowden messed around with his dad's guitar. Bowden learned 3 chords on the mandolin when he was in middle school, and inspired by an album by the Guess Who, he and a friend made a pact that they would each write a song. He didn't write one, but I did, Bowden said. After graduating from the Fredonia School of Music at the State University of New York in Fredonia, he moved to San Francisco. His journeys took him to New York City and West Texas, where he says he really got solid in the music business, playing with some good bands and recording a couple albums. While in New York, Bowden studied banjo under Tony Trischka, who also taught Grammy winner Bella Fleck and is considered by some to be one of the most influential modern banjoists. Bowden's time in Lubbock included playing the famous Sunday jam sessions at Stubbs Barbecue, and he met artists like George Thorogood, Emmylou Harris, and Lloyd Maines, father of Natalie Maines, the lead singer of The Chicks. After he moved back to North Carolina, Bowden won a country music talent hunt by Charlotte radio station WSOC and, as part of his prize, got to open for Laureate Lynn. Bowden later joined the house band at a club called Country City, USA before playing on the paddle wheel riverboat, the Henrietta II, on the Cape Fear River for 8 years. From there, it was on to the Midwest. Once I got to the Ozarks, he said, I played a lot of honky-tonks out in the sticks, Bowden continued. Little places where it was required that you smoke cigarettes. From Bolivar to Warsaw and Climax Springs to Stockton, Bowden played at Amvet's Post, Eagles clubs, and little bars. He also taught music at the Hermitage and worked at Silver Dollar City. Now he plays the Springfield area as a solo artist with his roots rock, folkabilly, honky-tonk band Kickin' Jacksy, along with Marvin Lejeune, Mike Blem, and Andy Holloway. His #weekly release challenge started in mid-January of 2025, and truth be told, Bowden thought he had made a bit of a head start. When I started this project, I had, in the can, 5 or 6 songs. I thought I had dozens, he said, and the in-the-can songs weren't finished. They just had some basic guitar and scratch vocals on them. Undaunted, though, Bowden got to work fleshing out existing songs with minor changes and tweaks. He did write 3 brand new songs for his project, and one of them, Morning Wim Wham, won the New Song Showcase Instrumentals category at the Walnut Valley Festival in Winfield, Kansas. The #weekly release songs cover a wide variety of styles. My influences are anywhere from Harry Belafonte to the Allman Brothers, James Taylor, and Earl Scruggs, Bowden said. There's a lot of bluegrass songs, and there's some bluesy, there's really some folk songs, some dreamy songs, some bubblegum pop, rockabilly, just a whole bunch of stuff, he says. There's also the Star-Spangled Banner. It was getting late in the week, and I needed something, so I did the national anthem, but in a jazz style, Bowden said. So that was kind of cheating, but not really. I filled up another week with a clean version of that song that didn't have a clean version. All the other songs were totally different and original. Keeping the momentum going was one of the many challenges Bowden said he faced during his year of releasing songs weekly. He worked in his home studio nearly every day, though he did plan some breaks to refresh his mind. As soon as I finished recording one, it was like, oh, that was exhausting. I better get started on the next one, Bowden said. And usually I would relax for a day. I'd take a day off from recording and go walk the land I have on the Nanga River. It's the most peaceful thing just to walk out there, to sit, to breathe, to listen to the woodpeckers, to go down the river. That's the rock I'd sit on, the thinking rock. Sometimes it's singing rock, other times it's the other things rock. I love to spend time there, and it's a great place to practice and write, Bowden continued on. It's also a lot more spacious than his home studio. There, his console and computer are set up in the room that is also the exercise room, the spare bedroom, the wife's nail room, and also the junk room. And in this little closet, he said, is where I have my stuff, so I can squeeze in there and do my recording. If I look around, I get claustrophobic because it's a very small space. I have to squeeze in there. When I'm playing the guitar, I have to clear some stuff out and get situated just right so I don't bump into the walls. Bowden said he's a little surprised he was able to finish his hashtag weekly release challenge, and he's happy with the songs they produced. They include Front Porch Swing, a banjo tune that he added lyrics to on the day he recorded it. I like Trickle Down. It's a song about trickle-down economics. He said, I redid it after they passed the big farce bill, so I was able to include that in the trickle down and keep rent high and wages low. I'm proud of the songs that mean something constructive for society. They mean a lot to me, because if I can follow what I'm saying there, it's good. But also because I love the crazy fun songs as well. Bowden said he feels like he became a better songwriter in the last year, and it helped him improve his work that he had already started. Riverwide, for example, had just one repetitive verse before Bowden wrote 5 new verses in one sitting. I have found some way to turn on an on switch, and I'm able to produce songs, create songs, he said. Before it was so much of a struggle, and now it's just a process. I just have to turn on the switch, open up the channels, and just start writing. And that, to me, is amazing, he continues, because I've always thought it would just be a struggle. His hashtag weekly release project also built his confidence in his ability to create music and helped him deal with the habit of procrastinating. Probably the most significant benefit from doing this project, he says, is that the seemingly impossible has become business as usual. I've learned that many of the roadblocks on the journey are not caused by availability of resources or any of the external elements, but instead are caused by the limits that I put on myself. Sometimes you just have to stop procrastinating and jump in, even if the water is cold. Bowden continues to say that he has no plans to release 52 songs in 2026, though Kicking Jasky has an album worth of songs he'd like the band to record. In the meantime, he's planning on entering his song Riverwide into NPR's Tiny Desk contest and continuing to play around the Springfield area. The band is bound to be playing, he said. We're playing for the Queen City Shout, and I'm doing a solo for that. We'll be at the Moontown Sound again, and I'll play at Lindbergh's Tavern with the Wild Bob's Musical Book Club.
I don't have to share it.
Both Bowden's solo work and songs by Kickin' Jaxie are on the most major streaming services, including Apple Music, Amazon Music, and Tidal, as well as YouTube. I've got some more songs in the works, and I want to keep recording some more of my solo songs. Just not once every week, please, Bowden said, laughing. This article was brought to it.
I'm gone.
That article was brought to us by the Springfield News-Leader by Jeff Kissinger.
Do something else.
In other news, the Ririco Brazilian Grill is to remodel after the broken pipe causes closure. A broken pipe underneath Ririco Brazilian Grill has caused some backups in the restroom and kitchen, forcing the Springfield restaurant to close for at least 6 weeks. Owner Angel Kim said the pipe burst about a week and a half ago, and the repairs are ongoing. The timeline for reopening is still unknown, but the owner said Ririco will use the downtime to remodel some aspects of the interior of the restaurant. Everything has been removed so they can fix all the plumbing, Kim said by phone on February 2nd. It is kind of, intense repairs. All the floors have been taken out. The recent cold weather spell is not the culprit of the burst pipe, Kim said. This is a drainage pipe located underneath the restaurant. Ririco has been located at 3371 East Montclair Street for more than 2 decades. Kim said the interior of the restaurant is in need of updating. The restaurant plans to tackle some of the interior renovations after the drainage pipe has been fixed.
So what needs to happen is he needs to create a new tab and drag it over to you.
Okay.
One moment.
Drag me a tab. Thanks.
Sorry about that, folks. The restaurant plans to tackle some of the interior renovations after the drainage pipe has been fixed and before reopening to the public. With the renovations, there is still a possibility of changing or expanding the menu, Kim said. The more than 7,500 square foot restaurant was owned by Kim & Sons LLC and appraised at $1.3 million, according to the Greene County Assessor's Office records. That article was brought to us by Ryan Collins of the Springfield Citizen. You good? All right, back to you.
Okay, well, sorry for that break in there because I apparently closed something I was not supposed to. This article comes actually out of Springfield and Douglas County. This is from the Ozarks First, so it's a little bit out of our Springfield area, but Ava, Missouri, a Douglas County man has been charged after investigators say he exchanged sexually explicit images with a minor, according to court documents filed this week. The charges stem from an investigation that began February 5th at Ava schools. Kevin Lister, 40, of Ava, is charged with first offense possession of child pornography and furnishing pornographic material to a minor. According to the probable cause statement, a school counselor reported that a male student disclosed he had been sending nude images of himself to an adult man and receiving nude images in return. Investigators later identified the man as Lister. The student told authorities the images were shared through a shared camera roll accessible on both his phone and Lister's phone, the statement said. Investigators are also noted prior contact with Lister's residence during a children's division case in late December 2025. His bond hearing is set for February the 13th. Now, also from Ozarks First, neighbors and nonprofits helping after a house fire displaces Springfield family of 10. Springfield, Missouri, out of Ozarks First. I could hear like a scratching noise outside of my house, James Schultz said. I heard it very vigorously crackling, and so I pulled open my curtain, and that's when I noticed the side of the house was engulfed. James Schultz lived about 20 or so feet from a massive house fire in the 2700 block of Sylvia Court that happened overnight Friday in northwest Springfield. The home was ruled a total loss, determined to be accidental, and displaced 8 children and 2 adults. One of the 2 family pets died in the fire. They're super sweet people. Our kids played together all the time and they kept to themselves. They were super nice. Anytime we needed help with something, they were more than willing. We went out of town to go visit my father, because he's unfortunately dying, and they mowed our yard for us, and we had helped them out and gave them snacks and stuff for Christmas time. We genuinely have a good relationship with them, Schultz said. Their kids and our kids primarily went to the same school. When Schultz realized how close he was to the fire, he worked to get his children to the opposite ends of his home before he went out and tried to help with his own garden hose before fire crews arrived. I ran outside and actually grabbed my water hose and turned on the water just to try and help contain it as much as I could. Unfortunately, it was frozen, so it took me a minute to kind of go through and break all the ice up and get water flowing. But I saw the man who lived there was standing in the backyard spraying towards where the primary source of the fire was, Schultz said. I tried to get around the side as much as I could over there, but I couldn't even make it past the fence line without feeling too much heat from the fire. Schultz says there's been a support for the family by nonprofits and private donation efforts. I know Red Cross was out here to assist them, and I plan on reaching out because, unfortunately, I do know they've lost a pet or 2 in the process. Also, with so many kids and losing so much inside of the house, we'd like to help as much as we can. Our 2 older ones have picked up some stuffed animals and stuff that they can share with their girls. Ozarks First reached out to the American Red Cross, who told us the Red Cross of Southern Missouri responded to the fire this morning around 2 a.m. until 4 a.m. We assisted a family of 10 with 8 children and 2 adults. Our team distributed blankets and comfort kits on scene and provided financial assistance to the family to begin their road to rebuilding. The financial assistance goes towards their transitional housing and other needs such as food, clothing, etc. We also ensure they are connected with the next steps of resources. We also provide mental and spiritual assistance to families following home fires like these. That again was reported this on the 6th in Ozark First and submitted by Parker Padgett. Tony.
Alrighty. We're going to now turn to the Missouri, saying that the state and feds are investigating illegal slot machines. A state and federal investigation of the illegal slot machines is looking at how billions flow from Missourians to the companies that own the games. Attorney General Catherine Hanaway told a legislative committee Thursday, February 5th. The state, at the request of federal investigators, joined the probe that has in its roots in a federal civil court case where a jury found the games offered by Wildwood-based Torch Electronics are illegal gambling devices, Hanaway said. We are investigating what the operators of the games are doing, how their money is flowing, where they have locations, how many machines, so then we can go in with some of the enforcement action, Hanaway said to the Missouri House Budget Committee. Hanaway's comments come to us as the House prepares to debate a bill to authorize the Missouri Lottery to license and tax similar machines known as video lottery terminals, or VLTs. The bill, with support and opposition that crosses party lines, survived a 6-5 vote Wednesday in the House Rules Legislative Committee, in part because one opponent was absent. Whatever you all do as a legislative to regulate them, then we'll enforce the law, Hanaway told the committee, but right now, it's illegal, so I'm going to be going after them. The cooperative investigation began on the initiative from federal agencies, Hanaway said in response to questioning from the state rep Betsy Fuggle of Springfield, the ranking Democrat of the committee. They came in and said, here's what we're doing. Are you doing anything? Hanaway said. And we said, yes we are, and we would love to work together. So now, we're working together. There is no accurate count of the number of games owned by Torch or other similar vendors in the state, but some estimates have ranged up to 25,000 machines. One of the Torch spokesmen, Greg Keller, said in a text that the company has not been contacted by state or federal investigators. But if we ever are, we will continue to do what we have always done. Cooperate fully with law enforcement and legislature to pass and enforce fair regulation for everyone in the industry, Keller said. Right now, we are focused on helping pass Rep. Hardwick and Senator Bean's VLT bill currently before the legislature. The U.S. Attorney's Office for the East District of Missouri did not respond to an email about the investigation. Games provided to retailers by Torch and its competitors are unregulated by the state, and no report exists showing how much money is being spent on the games by consumers. The state's 13 casinos, which must report monthly totals for taxation, report about $17 billion in bets at slot machines in each of the past 3 fiscal years, with just over 90% returned to players. By law, slot machines and casinos must return at least 80% of the money bet as prizes. Casino profits are taxed at 21%, bringing in $364 million for public schools in the most recent fiscal year. Financial records obtained for the federal trial show that Torch Games pulled in $32 million from 2017 to 2023 at 20 separate locations with about 100 machines. Torch split 11 with retailers, leaving about 65 for prizes. Hanaway said she does not have a moral obligation to the games. My concern, Hanaway says, is that they are all going on the state, unregulated, bringing in billions of dollars, and that we are going to, if we continue to allow them to just openly ignore the law and just sort of flagrantly believe that they can operate in these illegal circumstances, that we're going to get real organized crime in this state. For 10 years, games the owners claim are illegal have been installed in retail locations, including bars, convenience stores, and fraternity halls. Efforts to prosecute the companies that own the game have largely failed because local prosecutors refuse to file charges in most cases investigated by the Missouri State Highway Patrol. Hanaway said the FBI, the IRS, and other federal agencies with jurisdiction over financial matters are part of the investigation because of money laundering and banking questions. Torch has used high-profile lobbyists, large political donations, contacts with prosecutors and lawsuits against enforcement agencies to protect its market. In 2023, Hanaway's predecessor, Andrew Bailey, pulled out of defending the patrol in a lawsuit filed by Torch after accepting $14,000 in contributions for his campaign and another $12,000 for his PAC from committees funded by Torch. Last year, the company contributed just under $60,000 to 7 political action committees controlled by its chief lobbyist, former Missouri House Speaker Steve Tilley. It contributed another $60,000 directly, with $25,000 to House Speaker John Patterson's PAC, supporting his bid for a seat to the state Senate, Missouri Alliance PAC, and $10,000 to the state treasurer Vivek Malik PAC of the American Promise. Committee members on Thursday wanted to know why local prosecutors have not been more active in fighting the machines. The owners of the games just came in with overwhelming force, Hanaway says. They brought in the best lawyers in the world and just put more resources on it than a local prosecutor could respond with. Only one felony prosecution has resulted in a conviction. There has been a misdemeanor possession of a gambling device case pending in Franklin County against James McNutt, owner of the convenience store chain Midwest Petroleum, since November 2020. In an interview with The Independent, Hanaway said that her office has concurrent jurisdiction with its county prosecutors on gambling laws and can better withstand being overwhelmed by expensive lawyering. The delays are evidence of the lopsided fight, she says. If we have some combined resources in the Attorney General's office with the county prosecutors, and maybe even the feds, it's going to be a fair fight, Hanaway says. In an interview, Fogle noted that her hometown, Springfield, has banned torture machines and similar games as a public nuisance. There was a lot of information that I wouldn't expect her to be able to share publicly if there were ongoing investigations, but I was pleased to see that she was in coordination with the federal government to crack down on these illegal machines, Fogle continued. The games targeted by Hanaway are labeled as no-chance gambling by the operators and have successfully eluded a definitive prosecution. The only felony conviction in Platte County was not appealed. After years of being stemmed by casino lobbyists and Torch's political strength, video lottery proponents think that this year was a year for passage. The state will need billions in revenue if Republicans want to keep Governor Mike Kehoe's promise to eliminate the state income tax. Replacing the untaxed and unregulated games with machines licensed and controlled by the state with mandatory 80% payouts would bring in about $350 million in revenue within 2 years, according to the official testaments. The bill sponsored by the state rep Bill Hardwick, a Republican from Dixon, passed the last stop on the way to the floor debate. The Rules Committee, only because the vice chairman, state rep Don Mayhew, a Republican from Crocker, was absent. In an interview, Mayhew said his presence would not have mattered because there were other members, who he would not name, willing to change their vote to get the bill through. Mayhew and Hardwick are opponents in the GOP primary in the 16th state district in August. I hate the bill, Mayhew said. I hate everything about the bill. Now, in the past, I have supported VLTs, but it was always under the idea that the current things were going to go away. The 2-year allowance before existing games could not operate is too long, he said. A bill authorizing video lottery narrowly passed the House last year. Fogle, who said she will oppose the bill when it's up for debate, said the lobbying effort is intense and the divisions don't follow the party lines. There was a lot of strong-arming going on last year, and I would anticipate that's going to happen this year, Fogle continues. Last year's bill died in the state Senate. If the House does pass it, Senate President Pro Tem Cindy O'Laughlin said Thursday, February 5th, it will get a chilly reception in the upper chamber. The discussion about making illegal activities legal too often focuses on the financial benefits of taxation, O'Laughlin said. In the short time that I've been here, it just seems that we've talked about so many marijuana and gambling bills, and we're going to tax those, and they're going to pay for veterans and education and do all these great things, O'Laughlin said. But nobody talks about the societal cost of it and what it does to the people and their families. And that is O'Loughlin's biggest concern. That article was brought to you in part by Mr. Rudy Keller of the Springfield News-Leader. Back to you.
Okay, we have some local boys I don't know if they're boys, but anyway, local bowler that we need to sort of celebrate today. Out of Nixa, competing at the highest level of bowling has been Spencer Robarg's dream since he watched Professional Bowlers Association events on television in his Springfield living room as a 4-year-old. I remember going, man, I want to do that. Now I'm very fortunate to be in the position I'm in, Robarg said last week, on the verge of a launch of his PBA Tour rookie season. The 23-year-old Kickapoo High School graduate begins his rookie season on the PBA Tour at the PBA Players Championship February 16th through the 22nd in Euless, Texas. He joins fellow area bowlers David Boog Kroll of Nixa and Kevin Williams of Springfield, giving the Ozark a heavy representation. Taking the college route. The 2021 Kickapoo High School graduate could have chased his dreams earlier, but selected a patient route. He chose to attend Wichita State, which has a nationally renowned bowling program, to polish his game and get his education. He completed a double major in business management and human resources last spring and was one of the top college players in the nation. The timing was impeccable. The PBA Tour awarded exempt status to the top 3 college bowlers based on accumulated points for the first time this season. That gives Robarch spots in at least 7 of this season's first 10 tournaments. It's an opportunity that the left-hander with a powerful two-handed style hopes to make the most of. He's long dreamed of earning PBA Tour Rookie of the Year honors and is glad he chose the college route first. I think my game developed way more at Wichita State than I expected it to under Coach Rick Steelsmith, Robarg said after recent practice season at Century Lanes in Nixa, his home center. He was an extremely great college player back in the 1980s and won a couple of tour titles. I feel like he developed my game in some ways I wasn't expecting. Hitting the road with a friend. Robarg, who has 88 sanctioned 300 games and 78 3-game series of 800 or better, plans to travel and room with former Wichita State bowler Jake Peters at 36, a tour veteran. Just like in college, he said the two will be able to bounce ideas off one another to hopefully bring out the best in both of them. We both got picked to the Pan Am Games in 24 in Reno, and we roomed together at that stop, Robarg said. It was just random room assignments, and we got to be pretty good friends by the end of the week. As time's gone on, we stayed in touch. Estimating that he bowls around 80 games a week, Robarg said he feels more mentally and physically ready for the grind than if he dove into the deep waters of the sport 4 years ago. There are 2 types of bowling ball surfaces, urethane, which eats oil and retains power on slick lanes, and reactive rosin, which many prefer on drier lane conditions. Robarg said he is able to refine his use of reactive equipment, keeping his expectations in check. Robarg doesn't charge into PBA tours without experience. As a high school senior, he qualified for the USBC Masters in 2021 and finished 3rd in the national televised finals. I wasn't even planning to bowl in that tournament, and I ended up making a show, Robarg said. I feel like opportunity to make that show allowed me to kind of go understand what goes into it, how much work goes into it, start to finish. That said, Robarg is keeping his expectations in check, much like he did while bypassing the pros for college. He often reminds himself that it's a process to get where he eventually wants to go, though he does have some positive pro history to call upon. I fully expect the first 2 or 3 weeks to be learning based, he said. I mean, it'd be great to break through and make a show early, but we'll see. My number 1 goal is to make the top 75 at the season's end and be fully exempt for the next year. Number 2 would be to hopefully make a show. And Rookie of the Year would be up there as well. But I think the biggest thing is to just learn. Just to take the year to learn and kind of figure out where I fit in the whole grand scheme of things, where I excel and what I need to work on. I'm really just ready to see where I'm at. Springfield area bowlers want to put Missouri back on the map. So is Kroll at 30, in between the Rook and the 417 vets, the 33-year-old Williams said. It feels like the quality of bowlers is like we're from Dallas, but just a smaller area, Kroll said. It'd be cool to see how Spencer does and see what we can all accomplish and put Missouri back on the bowling map. He does a lot of good things. Robarg recently aligned with Brunswick Bowling as his official bowling ball provider after being with Storm Products through his college years. Switching ball manufacturers can be nerve-wracking, but after drilling 15 new balls recently, he feels ready to roll against the best of the best. It would be even better if the 3 Springfield bowlers could make a 5-man televised finals sometime. That would be crazy, Robarg said with a smile. I think everybody in Springfield would need to make sure they're close to a TV because we'd have a really good chance at one of us bringing that title home. No matter how the season goes, Robarg says he's thankful to get to live out his dreams. He's quick to credit his mother, Susan Robarg, and brother, Blake Demore, for their support throughout his career. Demore, 35, has been an occasional PBA Tour and regional tour competitor for years. You know, he's been there and done just about everything he could for me, both he and my mom. There's been a lot of late nights and a lot of practicing when I'm sure the last thing Demore wanted to do was practice, but he's always been there. And just a little bit of information about Spencer Robarg. He is 23 years old. He's a lefty, a two-hander. He graduated from Kickapoo High School in 2021 and Wichita State in 2025. He's a former PBA Junior Champion, Collegiate Player of the Year, Team USA Pan Am Games Junior and Adult, owner of 88 sanctioned perfect 300 games and 78 803 game series, and he works at Century Lanes in Nixa during the off season. This article was submitted to the Daily Citizen, Springfield Daily Citizen, by Lyndall Scranton, and that was just earlier today. Tony.
Alrighty. And now let's talk about how a grassroots group connects with the Greene County ICE detainees. While Greene County has not been the backdrop of mass immigration sweeps seen elsewhere in the country, one local grassroots volunteer group is working to ensure those detained and held in local jail for immigration and custom enforcements have ways to connect with resources and loved ones and feel a little less alone. Abide and Love is one of the several grassroots groups formed in Greene County since President Donald Trump took office and began enacting the mass deportation of undocumented immigrants promised during his campaign. While some groups seek to protest, advocate, and change policy, Abide and Love aims simply to be a connection to the outside world for those who are held in jail from ICE. The Greene County Sheriff's Office has been a long-standing agreement to house federal inmates at the Greene County Jail. In October 2024, this agreement was adjusted to include ICE detainees. The GCSO receives a $100 per diem for each federal inmate. The jail has set aside a maximum 375 beds for the federal detainees, roughly a third of the jail's total bed count. According to the agreement, as of 11:30 a.m. on February 6th, 255 people were being held at the Greene County Jail for ICE, per the Greene County Sheriff's Office Public Information Officer Jonah Beatles. A small group of people came together in the fall to form a local chapter of Abide and Love, which originally started in Rolla. The organization has grown to form a network of clergy who meet with detainees, along with pen pal volunteers who make contact with those held in the jail to provide resources. The board president of Abide in Love, Ben Berenek, said the group is a way for local residents to track what goes on in the tax-funded jail and to help connect those held in jail with legal help and loved ones. We're all about connections, they say, and we recognize that these people, they're probably going through perhaps one of the most difficult experiences of their lives, and they're doing it in our community. He said, so whilst they're here, we want to try to make it what is a miserable experience slightly less miserable. Part of the week for the new group is to track down the number of people held for ICE at the Greene County Jail, if any criminal charges are associated with the detention, and how long the detainees remain at the jail. According to Baranek and Abide and Love's tracking data, an ICE detainee on average remains in Greene County Jail for about 44 days, though the average has dropped down to about 25 days since October. Of more than the 21 total ICE detainees that they have held in jail, fewer than 4% have had any charges filed against them, according to Baranek. So for however long those people are here, whether it's night or whether it's several nights, those people are kind of our residents of our country and our county, and they become our neighbors, they say. We know fractions of them and like tiny elements of their people's lives, but each of these people have a story, a background, a history, and most importantly, a future. We're just trying to acknowledge that, and these are human beings. These are our neighbors for the time being, and they matter. Abide and Love works with jail staff to find the most meaningful ways to support those staying in jail due to ICE holds. Baranek said that there are no sides or good or bad team. Rather, Abide and Love works to support all as neighbors in the community. Beadley said that the jail largely serves as a housing facility where ICE detainees simply pass through. So the GCSO does not wish ill on any of them held and acknowledge the needs for support. Following conversations with the jail staff, Baranek said the group began to organize donation drives for Spanish paperback books. So far, Abide and Love has gathered 178 books. He said new or gently used, without writing in them, are still being collected at Bookmarks, the Royal, and some local churches. Jail staff also indicated there was need for more clergy, prompting the group to organize a network of pastors and other religious leaders to be available to meet with detainees. Beatles said that the sheriff's office and jail have in-house chaplains who also provide support for staff and inmates alike. An additional clergy brought in by Abide and Love provided additional support, guidance, and listening ears for ICE detainees on their journeys. Reverend Silas Eggstrom of St. James Episcopal Church leads Abide and Love's clergy network and serves as VP of the organization's board. He said currently 4 ministerial folks and 3 interpreter volunteers have their time to visit with the detained at the jail, with 1 more clergy member and interpreter joining soon. The group is ecumenical, representing various denominations. Engstrom was part of the original small group that founded the local chapter. He said he felt moved to make this outreach to humanize the people that were being villainized. At the same time, he said he wishes there was no need for this effort to begin with. I feel like it's something that I have to do, Engstrom says, because this is what Jesus would do. Doing clergy visits is a way for us to see the individual, to make a connection to the individual as a person, and and for me, that's been very, very powerful. Connections with the clergy are among the most vital as the jail only allows 2 types of in-person visits, ministerial and attorney visitations. Engstrom said clergy have met with dozens of people detained for ICE in Greene County Jail through the 20-minute weekly visits in each inmate is permitted. These visits are not about preaching or proselytizing, he said, but rather a time for those detained to be heard and supported spiritually. Engstrom said prayer is among the most common requests. I think on a spiritual level, there's a power in prayer that makes people feel connected to God, which brings strength and harmony, Engstrom continues. And on a humanitarian level, it also connects you to the people you know. People praying for you and caring about you, taking the time to visit you, asking you, what do you need? How are things going? Is there anything we can do to help? Just that in of itself can bring a sense of strength and peace to a time that's very lonely and very scary. As Abide and Love continues to grow, Engstrom hopes the clergy network can expand to include leaders from a wider variety of faith backgrounds and practices. Eventually, he said he would like to be able to serve the jail on a more regular basis, perhaps through a worship service or a Bible study group. Beyond visits from clergy or attorneys, the rest of the contract with those inside the jail takes place virtually, either through texts or video calls. Angstrom has been able to help connect the detainees with loved ones through his visits, but that's also where the other part of Abide and Love's work comes in. The group also includes a volunteer group of pen pals, people who text those detained at jail and held for ICE through the jail's text system. This is the touch point Abide and Love has with detainees. It's a way to let them know that they are there and what resources, including clergy visits, are available to them. The ICE website lists 4 jails across Missouri as detention facilities for the department's detainees, which means those detained may land several counties away from home, making it harder for families to find them. Every detainee they're going through has to make connections in their life, and those connections are incredibly meaningful to them, Baranek said. There's a bunch of loved ones in these people's lives who all of a sudden they're just separated from. He said through texting, Abide and Love can help track down loved ones both stateside and elsewhere, connect them with the legal services, and help fund commissary needs like long-sleeve shirts. He said that the group currently has roughly 30 pen pals. Those wanting to volunteer undergo a training to familiarize themselves with the communication platforms. Maddie Bridges is one of those pen pals. After joining the effort in late November, she has chatted with 3 women held in detention. There were common threads among those conversations requesting for legal aid concerning the uncertainty of the next steps and worries for the women's families. Bridges said beyond being surprised about the lack of criminal record for the vast majority of those detained and the fact that those held for ICE were not held separately from other detainees in jail charged for violent crimes, she was astonished by the gratitude women had expressed for the work Abide and Love was doing. The fact that they are in prison this time, going away from their home, going away from their families, and most likely the immense appreciation they have for their work Abide and Love is doing is really quite humbling. Because if they wanted to, they could be extremely bitter and angry, and have only experienced kindness and gratitude and grace for all the people that are involved in the situation, she says. For Bridges, the decision to volunteer with Abide and Love and serve those detained by ICE in a way that emphasizes peacefulness was a personal one. She learned of the work the group was doing through a colleague. As a 6th grade teacher in Branson, her classroom includes English learners whose lives have been impacted by the current political and environment and fear. To me, it's really protecting my students and being there for the community that I love and cherish, Bridges says. Especially as, a person who has the privilege to not have my immigration status questioned. I have a duty to help in any way that I can, and being a pen pal is just a small way, but an impactful way. To make those who are experiencing such a scary and terrible time in their life feel seen and heard and helped, it means the world to me. With an increased national attention on immigration enforcement, Baranek said he has seen an increased response from the community interested in finding ways to help those detained by ICE locally as attendance at the group's trainings have grown tenfold. However, how much the group is able to do is quite limited by funding. Each text message costs 25 cents with a minimum $10 deposit and a $3 transaction fee, adding up to thousands of dollars in order to connect with every person detained in jail for ICE. This need was eased by the generosity of local residents who gifted $10,000, matching a grant to Abide and Love. With their capacity currently limited, Baranek said they are prioritizing connecting with women and those who come in from the local region first. For now, he said, they can try to reach a third of those detained held by ICE. People in Springfield are known for being pretty neighborly. They're known for caring about their friends, Baranek said. And we're so grateful for, the fact that we have good neighbors here in Springfield. And we see it in many ways, and we're seeing it in this way just as much. This story was brought to us by Martha Mies of the Springfield News-Leader. Back to you.
We are currently broadcasting live from the Blind Community Thrift Store situated at 2713 North Kansas Expressway in Springfield, Missouri. For additional information about our store, please visit our official website at www.blindcommunitythriftstore.com. To explore more of our video content, including movie reviews with Matt and Meredith, adaptive technology training videos, and other informative material, Please visit our YouTube channel by searching for Blind Community Thrift Store. Our organization is dedicated to supporting the blind community through various initiatives, and our online platforms serve as valuable resources for community engagement and education. I have an article here from the Springfield Daily Citizen on the 160 Grand Prix acreage that is back on the market. 160 Grand Prix back on the market after the owner's death. The former 160 Grand Prix property is back on the market after its most recent owner died last summer. The 9-acre tract of land at Goon Road and Highway 160 is listed for $900,000 including equipment and go-karts, or $850,000 on its own. The North Nixa attraction first opened in the late 1990s. Founder Lloyd Hurst closed the business in 2020 to focus on his wife as her health was declining, according to reporting from Ozarks First. Jason Madura purchased the business in 2022. Jennifer Madura, his ex-wife, explained that at least one other person unsuccessfully attempted to reopen the track after Hurst closed it. There was talk of razing the property. 160 Grand Prix holds good memories and he didn't want it to be bulldozed, she explained, adding that Jason Madura spent part of his childhood in Nixa and considered it his hometown. Madura, 43, was killed in a car crash on June 29, 2025, according to probate court documents. His mother, 3 children, and ex-wife are listed as heirs to his estate. Online obituaries indicate that Hurst also died on July 10th at the age of 84. The 160 Grand Prix property includes batting cages and many golf holes. The former owner was in the process of expanding and modernizing the business, which was previously cash only. An interested buyer could purchase the POS system, operational equipment, and go-karts and other accessories with the property. Jennifer Madura said it's going to take someone who is extremely serious to purchase it. However, the prime real estate off of Highway 160 has already received significant interest. The trust company that is managing the property received about 150 calls the first day that 160 Grand Prix was listed for sale, she said. The final sale of the property will need to be approved through Christian County's probate court. More information on the property can be found by contacting the realtor Jeff Childs. This article was submitted by Zoe McIntyre to the Springfield Daily Citizen. Tony.
A car was stolen in Springfield this morning. Authorities responded to the reports of a stolen car and a single vehicle crash at E. Bennett Street and South Oak Grove Avenue after a traffic pole was struck late Sunday night. The call for the stolen vehicle came in around 10 p.m., according to the Greene County emergency responders. Officers said the driver fled the scene before police arrived, but was later arrested near Lone Pine and Sunshine. This following another call around 11 p.m. related to the same incident, according to Chris Swatters with the Springfield Police Department. No injuries were reported, thankfully, and no formal charges have been filed at this time. Also, Starbucks defeats Missouri in a lawsuit. A federal judge dismissed a lawsuit from the Missouri Attorney General's office on Thursday that challenged international coffee chain Starbucks over diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. The lawsuit, filed in February 2025 by then Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey, alleged that Starbucks' practice to prioritize DEI ultimately amounted to unlawful discrimination. The U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Missouri formally dismissed the lawsuit Thursday. District Judge John Ross ruled that the state did not identify even a single Missouri resident who was denied a job or harmed due to Starbucks' employee practices, according to the court documents obtained by Bloomberg Law. According to a 2021 memo cited in Fox 2's first report on the lawsuit, but currently not found online, Starbucks has set and tracked annual inclusion and diversity goals, aiming for at least 30% BIPOC representation at corporate levels and 40% at retail and manufacturing levels by 2025. BIPOC refers to the employees who are Black, Indigenous, and people of color. Starbucks also has pledged to create mentorship programs with the BIPOC employees and provide additional training and advancement opportunities for those groups, according to the memo. The now dismissed lawsuit, citing employment data from 2020 and 2024, asserted that Starbucks' workforce has become more female and less white over time. It argued that Starbucks violated federal and state anti-discrimination laws by engaging in race and sex-based hiring practices, unlawfully segregating employees, and offered certain training and employee benefits exclusive to select groups. Fox 2 has reached out to Starbucks' media relations staff for comment, but we have not heard back from them as this story is initial publication. Meanwhile, the Missouri Attorney General's office, now led by Catherine Hanaway rather than Bailey, shared the following statement with Fox 2. We plan to continue aggressively pursuing this case and other instances where companies have race and sex-based hiring practices in violation of the Missouri Human Rights Act. Back to you.
Well, yes, the Super Bowl was yesterday, but and so was the Puppy Bowl. And I just want to tell you about the 5 Missouri puppies that were there to compete. The last Super Bowl LX, guess that's 60, is here, in which the Seattle Seahawks take on the New England Patriots, who will win the Vince Lombardi Trophy. But before the big game, there is also another big game that'll feature over 100 players, so to speak. Of course, I'm talking about the Puppy Bowl, which returns for its 22nd year on February the 8th. A record of 150 dogs from 72 shelters over the USA, Puerto Rico, and the British Virgin Islands will compete for the coveted Lombardi Trophy, while also playing to potentially find their forever home. 5 of these pups hail from Missouri, with 2 coming from 5 Acres Animal Shelter in St. Charles and 3 from the Humane Society of Missouri in St. Louis. The Humane Society of Missouri confirmed in a social media post that all 3 puppies have already been adopted into forever homes. Just a little bit of bright news this morning. Now, out of Carl Junction, a student sues Carl Junction schools for not addressing stalking reports. This article is in the Springfield Springfield News-Leader this morning. As Missouri music teacher awaits trial on charges of stalking and child pornography, a student he allegedly followed for years has filed a lawsuit against Carl Junction School District for failing to address her concerns. In January 2025, Carl Smith, a choir teacher at Carl Junction, was charged with first-degree stalking of a student starting in September of 2018. According to the allegations, Smith for several years gave the student gifts, arranged for her to have lunch in his office, and sent her inappropriate letters and texts unrelated to school activities. While investigating the stalking claims, Carl Junction Police Department searched Smith's school-issued laptops and allegedly found more than 600 images of child sexual abuse material downloaded onto the computers, resulting in an additional charge of child pornography. There is no indication the images depicted the girl he was allegedly stalking or other Carl Junction students. Now, a lawsuit filed by the student claims the school district and its administrators failed to adequately address the reports of stalking. The student, although now an adult, is identified as Jane Doe with initials of OA in the lawsuit as the victim of sexual harassment experienced while a minor. Smith is also among the named defendants. Teacher allegedly sent letters, texts, and made unwelcome visits. Smith first contacted the student in elementary school while teaching as choir teacher and providing trumpet lessons. When she moved on to middle school, Smith was transferred to teach there, according to both the lawsuit and probable cause statement filed for his criminal charge. Although he first attempted to transfer to the high school as the student was transferring or was starting her freshman year, he, the teacher, ultimately remained teaching at the junior high school. The petition filed in Jasper County Circuit Court includes the text of several letters and texts that Smith sent to the student begging for her to respond. Even after the student blocked Smith's number and social media, the probable cause statement in the criminal case said he still found ways to contact her. The lawsuit also recounts instances in which Smith showed up in person, such as during the student's band rehearsal and at the mall food court where the student was meeting with friends well into 2024. Among the allegations in the lawsuit also was a suggestion that Smith used his son's phone to try to get in touch with the victim and ask who she was dating. The lawsuit claims she was hesitant to post information about her boyfriend on social media because Smith had contacted her previous boyfriends. According to the lawsuit, the student's mother sought meetings with Assistant Superintendent Kyle Williams, who served as the principal of the high school, and the high school's assistant principal, Nicole Keller, regarding Smith's behavior. Both allegedly refused to discuss the concerns or review Smith's written communications, as he was a middle school teacher. The mother of one of the student's friends took concerns to the middle school principal and the police soon after. The lawsuit claims the ongoing harassment by Smith was distressing and denied the student equal access to public education. The report to law enforcement also resulted in a child welfare investigation. According to the petition, the Missouri Department of Social Services issued a determination finding emotional abuse and harassment by Smith. According to a previous News-Leader reporting, the district began the process to fire Smith once investigators shared the content of the text messages, but he resigned before the process concluded. He was last at the school on August 24, although according to the lawsuit, he continued to harass the student after this. In a statement released by the district last year, the district said it was notified August 30th that Smith had been accused of stalking a student who attends the high school. In that statement, the district emphasized that the safety and security of children continues to be its utmost priority. The district could not comment further on the newly filed litigation. The lawsuit claims the school's district violated the Missouri Human Rights Act by discriminating against the student's sex by failing to respond to sexual harassment reported. It also included claims of negligence against both of the administrators, Smith, and the district at large for not following the district's own policy, which includes the administrator's mandatory duty to report knowledge of possible violations to the district. The lawsuit seeks undisclosed amount of compensatory damages. Smith is scheduled to stand jury trial on his criminal charges in April. He was released on bond on both charges. This article was submitted by Marta Mies to the Springfield News-Leader earlier this morning. Tony.
Alrighty. Now let's talk about budget cuts. The Missouri State University West Plains campus is planning to cut spending, which will include a loss of an unspecified number of jobs to offset an expected budget deficit of up to $900,000 in the current fiscal year. Chancellor Zora Mulligan said the exact size of the deficit and the mix of cuts are still being finalized. They're all really hard decisions for the West Plains campus, Mulligan said in an interview with the Springfield Business Journal. Trying to think about the way that we can continue to serve students effectively and meet community needs while also addressing the deficit is a challenge. Mulligan, who had been executive vice president of the Springfield campus, moved to the MSU West Plains chancellor role in July 1st, 2025, after the retirement of Dennis Lancaster. Her tenure started with an inherited deficit of $675,053 from the fiscal year of 2025, which wiped out a primary reserve fund on campus. In a late October town hall meeting and a recent interview with the Springfield Business Journal, Mulligan provided an overview of the financial situation, what steps have been taken, and what tough decisions remain. My approach has been to provide as much information as can ethically be provided at any given time, being very upfront about the significant magnitude of the challenge. Mulligan continued. Her team was able to whittle down part of the inherited deficit during the first half of the fiscal year 2026, but lower than expected enrollment, budgeted amounts that veered from historical spending levels, and inaccurate revenue projections are expected to drive the deficit higher this spring. We're working on the assumption that it's in the ballpark of $900,000, with the anticipation that it could be a little better than that, Mulligan continues. The FY26 budget was based on the enrolling 983 degree-seeking students in the West Plains, but the actual number was 934, which meant fall tuitions and fees were $440,000 less than budgeted for, with another drop expected for spring. A budget approved by the MSU Board of Governors in June 2025 projected $13.1 million in total operating expenses for the campus this fiscal year. Mulligan said the campus must address the deficit through spending cuts to develop a balanced or no deficit budget next year. We have identified savings that are intended to close the gap to as close to zero as we can get by the fiscal year, Mulligan continued. She started by restructuring her administrative council, cutting 2 of her 7 direct reports. The eliminated positions include Associate Vice Chancellor of Business Support Services, Crockett Oakes III, and Associate Vice Chancellor of Administrative Services, David Young. MSU West Plains reduced funding for travel, services, and supplies and took other steps aimed at avoiding deeper cuts to frontline and mid-level positions, Mulligan said. We have been able, in some cases, to pay for some positions using grant funding or other designated funds, she said. It does address the budget deficit, but in the long term, we have to identify other funding sources for the positions and programs. Mulligan said cuts to faculty and staff positions appear unavoidable, but the scope is not yet final. Her team will first look at cutting through attrition, not filling positions left vacant after resignations and retirements, but she said layoffs are extremely likely. Current personnel includes 135 full-time faculty and staff positions, along with 43 adjunct faculty and 71 part-time staff, not including the student workers. You're talking about people, Mulligan said. It's important to respect confidentiality and to try to approach all of this decision-making in a way that is respectful as possible to the individuals who may be affected. Mulligan said the final staffing decisions are expected in April and May. As work to fix the deficit continues, MSU West Plains is developing a FY27 budget, which has its own challenges. Mulligan said campus expects flat state funding, the sunsetting of several grants, and higher costs, including a larger required contribution to the Missouri State Employees Retirement System, also known as MOSERS. Simultaneously, the campus is retooling strategies to recruit and retain students. A series of initiatives are expected to be identified in the coming weeks. Although it has been a daunting first year, I'm very confident about the progress that we've made, Mulligan said. This article was brought to us by Claudette Riley of the Springfield Business Journal. Back to you.
Well, this is something that our primary listeners will be interested in. The Greene County Clerk's Office is implementing new technology to improve accessibility for people who are blind or visually impaired. The office is partnering with NaviLens and Mary's Braille International to introduce the technology according to a community announcement. NaviLens is an accessibility technology that uses distinctive multicolored codes similar to QR codes to help individuals who are blind or have low vision navigate spaces independently. The NaviLens system includes 2 free mobile applications, NaviLens and NaviLens Go, available for both iOS and Android devices. When users point their smartphone in the general direction of a NaviLens code, The app instantly detects it and delivers audio information, including directions, distances, and details about the location. The technology supports more than 40 languages. Codes can be detected instantly without needing to focus the camera from distances up to 50 feet at wide angles and in any lighting condition. The technology translates visual signage into audio messages, providing users with real-time information about their surroundings. Cutting-edge accessibility technology. NaviLens is already in use in major transit systems worldwide, including the New York City MTA, the Los Angeles Metro, the Barcelona Transit System, and by major consumer brands seeking to make product packaging more accessible. I'm going to add this into this article. One of our little statements throughout our broadcast states, our Blind Community Thrift Store holds the distinction of being the first retail store worldwide to incorporate NaviLens technology, which significantly enhances accessibility for the blind, visually impaired, and non-English speaking individual. I just thought I had to add that in as a promo for our store here. Making government accessible for all. The implementation of NaviLens is part of the Greene County's Clerk's Office ongoing commitment to accessibility. It's important to me that we prioritize making government services accessible to everyone, Greene County Clerk Shane Scholler said in an announcement. Whether citizens are visiting our office to vote, access records, or conduct other business, NaviLens will help ensure they can navigate our facilities independently and with confidence. Residents are encouraged to download the NaviLens app and experience the technology during their next visit to the Greene County Clerk's Office at 940 North Boonville Avenue, Room 113 in its historic courthouse in Springfield. This article was submitted by Janice Reeser, and we appreciate that, Janice. This was in the Springfield News-Leader. And then a short article from the Answer Man. A reader can't quite recall the name of the famous bar that was at National and Elm where Panera was. Answer Man. In the late 1980s, I used to stop at a teeny restaurant on the southeast corner of National and Elm. It was a dark, cozy place where I nursed a scotch or six after work. It might have been called Britches. I used to live on Elm Street, so it was much safer drive than weaving home from the Bombay Bicycle Club or Steak and Ale. What was the name of that place? Eric Peterson of Springfield. Eric asked me this right after the Daily Citizen writer Ryan Collins reported on January 15th that the building at National and Elm, 500 South National Avenue, where there was a Panera Bread, likely would be demolished this year. In fact, the story prompted comments from readers who recalled several different businesses that were located in the same building over the years. But before I get to that, here's your answer, Eric. The restaurant and bar you're talking about was called Britches. Not B-R-I-T-C-H-E-S, but B-R-I-C-H-S. The name is a blend of the first names of the original owners, Brett Lawson and Rich Howell. They remodeled the bar after Harpo's, a bar on the Mizzou campus in Columbia. They had worked there. One of the original owners says it was a sports bar with focus on hockey. I spoke to Lethan, now 59, who lives in Springfield, and he said they opened the bar in 1989, the year he graduated college. I was probably there for, I don't know, maybe 4 years, he said. It was mostly a sports bar. We showed a lot of hockey games. We had a good college following, with MSU being across the street. I was born and raised in St. Louis, played hockey all my life, and that's kind of what the bar revolved around. He said we had a pretty heavy St. Louis Blues following. After the first year of operating Britches, Lothan said he became sole owner. It was the only time in his life he owned and operated a bar and restaurant. Once I left, I didn't have the desire anymore to do that. He said, I had a young family and that was important to me. Lothan later became a real estate agent, then worked at a title company, and today is in banking and finance. In addition, he coaches hockey at Drury University. Along comes Britches with the aim of attracting the college town. I found mention of Britches by searching local newspaper archives using two separate phrases, National Avenue and Elm Street and 500 South National. The Springfield News-Leader once had a reporter named Ron Sylvester who wrote on an entertainment column called Night Moves. Sylvester wrote about Britches on August 30th, 1990. Not since Humphrey's Clinkers Rock and Roll Club stood on National Avenue and Elm Street in the early 1980s has that corner seen so much activity. Once a thriving rock club, crowds dwindled as one business after another tried its hand at restaurants or lounges aimed at an older audience. Now along come Britches with an aim at attracting college crowd only blocks away from Southwest Missouri State University. Apparently, the building also was once home to an establishment called Pop's Place. An incomplete list of other businesses. As I know Springfield readers, I'm guessing you want to know what other businesses have been at 500 South National Avenue over the decades. I've compiled a list of few that popped up over the years. Many purchased ads in the Springfield papers. I did not include businesses with an Elm Street address. The years are based on when I saw mention of the business in the newspaper. It's likely the businesses were also in operation even when not mentioned in the newspaper. I'm sure this is only a partial list. St. Louis Bread Company / Panera from 1994 to April 27th, 2023. Britches, 1989 to approximately 1993. Pop's Place, 1989. Jonathan's Restaurant, 1985 to 1987. Humphrey's Clinkers, 1980 to 1981. Shakey's Pizza, 1975 to 1979. Crank's Drugstore, 1940 to 1965. And Thomas Market, 1933 to 1954. This was submitted by Steve Pokin to the Springfield Daily Citizen just 5 hours ago. Tony.
Alrighty. In other news, FedEx is going to close. Memphis, Tennessee-based FedEx Corp. is shuttering a shipping center in the northeast side of Springfield. The FedEx facility at 2221 East Olive Court, located at the intersection of Chestnut Expressway and Barnes Avenue, is slated to close at the end of March, according to a statement provided by spokesperson David Westrick. The statement cited a previously announced network transformation strategy. Team members at the facility were notified several months ago, and certain employees will be offered other roles within the company. The statement reads, "These decisions are never taken lightly and reflect our commitment to supporting affected employees through job placement, assistance, relocation aid, or severance, as applicable, while transforming our network and continuing to provide an outstanding experience for our customers." The statement indicates that customers who use the facility for drop-off services can access the location at 1722 South Glenstone Avenue moving forward. FedEx's website lists 7 Springfield locations, including the closing facility, that offer shipping assistance. The roughly 20,000 square foot FedEx building on East Olive Court is owned by 2221 East Olive Court LLC, according to the Greene County Assessor records. And with the Springfield News-Leader, we're going to talk about the dark room. St. Louis Cardinal pitcher Joe McGrain was photographed signing a baseball for an 8-year-old Ryan Brown of Reed Springs during February 4th, 1990, during his visit to Springfield. McGrain met fans at a card show in Springfield as the potential for a spring training lockout loomed over America's pastime. The players and owners could not finalize a new labor agreement, but McGrain deflected concerns about a work stoppage. "We're not paid to carry picket signs," he told the reporter Scott Purier. In 1989, McGrain became an ace in the Cardinals' rotation. He went 18-9 with a 2.9 earned run average and just signed a new one-year contract before his appearance in Springfield. Back to you.
We have an article here in Ozark First. The headline is "The Mystery Doctor Who Drew Thousands to Southwest Missouri," submitted by Catherine Skopek. Missouri, before dawn, it looks like a movement. Headlights lined Ozark roads. Families slept in cars. Names were written on tablets nailed to farmhouse walls, and later on the doors of a stone clinic. Inside the clinic, a small, sleepless man worked for the sick and the poor, refusing fees, refusing photographs, and refusing to explain who he really was. "This is an institution," he told reporters. "More than that, it's a crusade." For nearly a decade, Omar Palmer ran one of the most unusual medical operations in Southwest Missouri history, first from a riverbank camp near Otto in Stone County, then from a booming clinic in Hurley, also in Stone County. He charged no fee for treatment, sold only low-cost remedies, and claimed neither miracles nor credentials, even as he drew tens of thousands of patients and the attention of state authorities. Doctors renounced him. The government tried to stop him. Local families defended him, not just as a healer, but as the standard bearer of a cause, medical care for people with no money, no access, and no patient for institutions that had failed them. They called him the Wizard of Otto. His name, he said, was Omar Palmer. From river camp to regional phenomenon, Palmer appeared quietly in the Ozarks around 1931, camping along the James River near Otto. He told neighbors he was recovering from a nervous breakdown. He fished, he read, he kept to himself. Then he treated a sick neighbor. Within months, the Cox family farmhouse had become a round-the-clock clinic. By 1933, people arrived as early as 4 a.m., waiting in cars or on porch, while herbs boiled in the kitchen and jars of dark tinctures lined the shelves. Palmer saw roughly 100 patients a day and sometimes more. He delivered babies, rode into remote hollows at night, and slept when he could. He refused payment for medical attention, charging only for a prescription, only a few cents, to cover costs. Of thousands treated, fewer than 100 donated, contemporaneous reports said. He was investigated, arrested, and unstoppable. The crowds drew attention. In July of 1933, Palmer was arrested and charged with practicing medicine without a license. The case collapsed when prosecutors could not prove he accepted fees. Outside the Galena courthouse, followers cheered. Legislative efforts then to restrict the sale of unlicensed medicine also failed after petitions, estimated in the tens of thousands, poured into Jeff City praising Palmer's work among the poor. Doctors were openly critical. Some dismissed him as a quack or a faith healer. Others, including surgeons who received his referrals, acknowledged that his diagnoses were often correct. Druggists noted that many of his prescriptions mirrored standard medical practice. Palmer said little. "This is an institution," he told a reporter in Otto. "More than that, it's a crusade." Hurley's boom and panic. In 1934, Palmer moved his operation to Hurley for easier access. The effect was immediate. Cars lined Main Street, cafes overflowed. People slept in vehicles in pitched tents while waiting for daily appointments. A stone clinic rose with a pew-filled waiting room, a pharmacy, a mail-order department, and a small restaurant of out-of-town patients. Assistants estimated Palmer treated as many as 20,000 people during his years in the Ozark area. He then fell ill 10 days in March 1935. Hurley fell quiet. Businesses emptied. Citizens circulated petitions and vowed to protect what newspapers called their one-man prosperity wave, the man who couldn't explain himself. Palmer guarded his past as tightly as his fees. He claimed decades of medical practice in major cities and training in Europe. He said he was born on the high seas. He once told reporters he was a nephew of Joseph Lister, the pioneer of antiseptic surgery, a claim never verified. No diploma ever surfaced, no license hung on his wall, and he refused photographs. What could be verified was his work. Palmer declined surgical cases and referred patients to surgeons. In Aurora, he partnered with R.W. Smart, paying hospital costs for patients who could not afford operations. Surgeons later said Palmer's diagnoses were consistently accurate. His marriage, his estate, and the ending. In 1933, Palmer married June Powell of Aurora. They had 3 daughters, Mary Ellen, Frances, and Emma June. In later years, Palmer left Hurley and built a large home on an estate in Berry County, south of Washburn, stocked with purebred livestock and an artificial lake. A striking turn for a man long ascribed as penniless. In April 13, 1946, Palmer died in a hospital in Prairie Grove, Arkansas. He was 83. Funeral services were held in Aurora with burial in Maple Park Cemetery. When the Wizard of Oto died, newspapers called him a mystery man. In communities from Stone County to Berry County, he was remembered more simply as the doctor who showed up for the poor. This again was from Ozark First, submitted by Catherine Skopek. And Tony, I can't read anymore.
That's right, no worries. We're going to talk about the Senate now. The U.S. Senate has passed a bipartisan resolution recognizing 30 years of service by the FA-18 Super Hornet, marking the anniversary of the aircraft's first flight from Lambert Field in St. Louis. The resolution, led by Senator Eric Schmidt, honors the multi-role fighter jet's decades of service as a cornerstone of the U.S. Navy's carrier-based fleet. The Super Hornet first took flight in November 1995, piloted by the Marine Corps Lieutenant Colonel Fred Madenwald. Little over 30 years, Marine Corps Lieutenant Colonel Fred Madenwald climbed into the cockpit of an FA-18 Super Hornet at Lambert Field and flew the aircraft for the first time. Schmidt said in a statement, "Since then, the FA-18 Super Hornet, which was manufactured in my hometown of St. Louis, has become an indispensable component of the Navy's carrier-based fleet." Schmidt cited the aircraft's reliability, combat performance, and longevity as a testament to the workers who built it, the service members who maintained it, and the pilots who flew it. He said the resolution reaffirms the Senate's commitment to ensuring U.S. warfighters have access to advanced military technology. Supporters of the resolution highlighted the aircraft's historical and operational significance. The FA-18E1 Super Hornet is a powerful symbol of American innovation and service, said Terry McKieran, executive director of the National Museum of Transportation in St. Louis, which houses the aircraft. "We are honored to preserve this iconic aircraft." Boeing, which manufactures the Super Hornet, also praised the Senate's actions. The FA-18 Super Hornet is a proven, highly advanced, multi-role strike fighter that gives the U.S. Navy and our international partners an unparalleled advantage on the battlefield, said Jeff Shockey, Boeing's Executive Vice President for Government Operations, Global Public Policy, and Corporate Strategy. "We thank the senators for leading this resolution celebrating the aircraft's contribution to our national defenses." Also, an individual was rescued from a vehicle in Eagle Rock. Crews responded to a report of an individual being trapped after a motor vehicle accident in Berry County on Saturday, February 7th. According to the Eagle Rock Golden Mano Fire Protection District social media post, officials were on their way to a structure fire around 10:52 p.m. on Saturday when firefighters stopped to assist a crash that occurred at Farm Road 1190 and Farm Road 2275 in Eagle Rock, Missouri. The post indicates that the person was freed from the vehicle, sustaining no injuries during the incident. The fire district stayed on scene to clear the roadway until finishing around 12:27 a.m. on Sunday, February 8th, and crews remind residents in the release to slow down and move over during the event of seeing emergency lights and keeping everyone safe. Those were both by the Ozark First News Network. Back to you.
Well, in case you're wondering what today is noted for, today is also known as Oatmeal Monday or Meal Monday. Oatmeal Monday, also known as Meal Monday, was a holiday that was traditionally celebrated at Scottish universities. From the 17th to the late 19th centuries, students in Scottish universities were required to bring their own food and fuel to campuses such as oatmeal and firewood. Their homes, where they got these supplies, were often far away. Sometimes they were given long weekends so they could travel to get the supplies. Early on, these long weekends happened quite frequently. For example, the University of Edinburgh had them each month, giving students the first Monday of the month off. But in 1896, Edinburgh made the long weekend a once-a-year event and made it officially celebrated on the second Monday of February. Let's see, also today it seems to be food involved, is Pizza Pie Day, also known as National Pizza Day, is a day for eating pizza. Pie-shaped flatbreads with toppings were first eaten in Naples in the late 18th and early 19th century. At that time, this coastal city was not part of Italy, but its own kingdom. The working poor, the Lazzaroni, lived outside or in small homes needed cheap food. Pizza consisted of flatbread with toppings such as tomatoes, garlic, cheese, anchovies, and oil, and it was sold by street vendors and informal restaurants and eaten for any meal. Pizza did not gain a foothold in Italy at that time, and it was in the U.S. where Neapolitans immigrated to that pizza gained its popularity. The first pizzeria in the United States was Lombardi's, which was started in New York City in 1905. It is still in business, and though it is in a new location, the original oven is still in use. Then today is also International Epilepsy Day. It is being observed today. It's being observed on every second Monday in February. I think I've got a couple more here. It's Chocolate Day. How to observe Chocolate Day? I'm just going to guess, but we're supposed to eat chocolate. Chocolate Day, a holiday celebrated all around the world, but primarily in India, takes place on the third day of Valentine's Week, a week full of holidays that leads up to Valentine's Day. On the day, couples and friends give chocolates to each other as a way to express their mutual love and affection. Now, how to observe it? Celebrate the day by giving chocolate to your partner, friends, and family members. As part of Valentine's Week, today's holiday is about showing your love and affection for others. So buy some high-quality chocolate and share it with those you care about. The Springfield Police Academy welcomes 24 new recruits to their new academy class. Welcome 24 recruits to its 81st Springfield Police Academy training, according to a community announcement. The class consists of 22 men and 2 women from across the country, including Oklahoma, California, and various parts of Missouri. The recruits bring diverse backgrounds in education and work, including previous experience to the military, corrections, sales, private security, fire services, and private business. The academy will run for 6 months, during which recruits will complete 1,085 hours of law enforcement training. After graduating, recruits will undergo 640 hours or 16 weeks of on-the-job training with an experienced field training officer. Once they finish this program, they will be assigned to the Uniform Operations Bureau. Recruitment for the next academy is ongoing. The 82nd Academy is scheduled to begin in September, according to the announcement. This article is submitted by Janice Reeser to the Springfield News-Leader, and that was also early this morning.
Alrighty. Branson would like to invite everyone to the local Owl Prowl. The Missouri Department of Conservation is inviting people to the Owl Prowl on February 19th. According to the release, the event will be held at the Shepherds of the Hill Conservation Education Center from 7 to 9 for the registered attendees. The event will include an indoor presentation about owls, a short hike to call for owls, and an activity where the group will dissect owl pellets. Owls start counting and nesting in February, so they're more active, which will make it easier for them to call and have them respond, says the naturalist Lee Eden in the release. The department asked for guests to bring flashlights and to dress for the weather. Also, more information on the Hotel of Terror has become a target for arson. The owner of the Springfield Haunted House attraction at the center of development of controversy said his building was the target of an apparent arson attempt. Sterling Mathis, the owner of the Hotel of Terror at 334 North Main Avenue, said that a person on Saturday morning, February 7th, tried to burn the attraction's front doors in 2 deliberate attempts. He said security cameras recorded the man's activities. He started by trying to squirt vodka on the door and lit that, but it didn't burn, Mathis said, so he went somewhere else, got a gas can, came back, and started throwing gas on it. Mathis said a firefighter drove by during the man's second attempt. The firefighter stopped the van and put out the fire. He said, damage caused by the fire was minimal, Mathis said. The main door and frame showed signs of fire damage, and a burnt smell wafted near the door Saturday at about noon. Mathis said a hasp securing the door was also damaged. Mathis said the building's sprinkler system would have activated if the flames had caught more strongly. Mathis also said the suspect also caught himself on fire in the process. He was taken into custody, and Mathis said he plans to seek arson charges against the suspect. The Daily Citizen left a message for the Springfield Police Department Watch Commander for more information and will update this report if a response is received. A decision on any potential criminal charges would come from the Greene County Prosecutor's Office. The building has been the center of a long-standing disagreement related to the bridge construction, as Mathis and the City of Springfield for years have disagreed on compensation terms. The Springfield City Council in December authorized the use of eminent domain on the building in order to replace the adjacent Main Avenue Bridge, classified as structurally deficient. Mathis and the other supporters are working to get enough signatures on a petition to force the issue to a public vote. Saturday's attack adds stress to the already stressful situation, Mathis said. But it's a shame with all the negative talk out there. It's like a civil war, and there's no reason for it, he said. Just uncalled for. Joe Hadsall is the one to thank for this from the Springfield Daily Citizen. Back to you.
And more news from the Missouri Senate. They're considering bills to halt solar development on farmland. This article was from Rudy Keller and from the Springfield News. It was submitted last week, but it's quite extensive and could be of some very interesting, or could bring about a good bit of interest. The conversion of Missouri farmland from food to solar power production creates feuds among neighbors, pits residents against developers, and raises questions about property rights. Those tensions were on full display Tuesday, February the 3rd, in the Missouri Senate Commerce Committee, which held hearings on 2 bills aimed at halting solar power development and a third that would impose new regulations and taxes on large-scale development. No votes were held on any of the bills. Laura Stinson told the committee her parents' Callaway County home, once a peaceful respite, is now plagued with construction noise, dust, and blinding glare from a new development surrounding their 16 acres. They are running full steam ahead and they don't care who they run over, Stinson said, pleading with members to pass the bills. But Dane Reed of Vernon County said his decision to lease land to a solar development is the best use of his property. A moratorium, he said, strips landowners of our fundamental rights to choose our most profitable crop. And right now, solar energy generates twice the revenue of any other crop we can produce. Thousands of acres across the state are being used to construct large-scale solar projects, for some for commercial sale of power, and others that would be dedicated to supply other new developments like data centers. State Senate President Pro Tem Cindy O'Loughlin, a Shelbina Republican, and State Senator Sandy Crawford, a Republican from Buffalo, are sponsoring the moratorium bills. The bills would halt all work on commercial-scale solar power installations and direct the state Department of Natural Resources to issue rules in their construction, placement, and operation. The moratorium would expire December 31st, 2027, or when regulations become effective, whichever is later. The goal of the moratorium, O'Loughlin said, is to force developers to make their plans known so residents can judge for themselves whether the project will benefit the community. Currently, she said, the public becomes aware of projects only after contracts are signed with landowners and the results seem predetermined. Communities become divided as the neighbors are pitted one against the other, those who signed and those who didn't, and those who bear the environmental, visual, and infrastructure impact versus those who are being paid and receiving compensation, O'Loughlin said. The bill establishing regulations, sponsored by State Senator Travis Fitzader, a Republican from Holt Summit, would not halt current construction. Instead, it creates a process for public notice and local approval at the county level that must take place before an application to proceed with a project is submitted to the Public Service Commission. Without approval from a county commission, the application could not move forward. Fitzwater's bill would also tax solar power equipment currently exempt from property taxes as personal property. The land would also be taxed as commercial real estate instead of the cheaper designation as farmland. The bill would cap the amount of land used for solar power production to 2% of the cropland in a county and block the PSC from granting solar power developers the right to condemn property for energy generation. I'm passionate about my constituents that come to my office and are crying over the fact their American dream is being stunted, and I want to provide a solution, Fitzwater said. There are 36 states that currently regulate new commercial solar power projects, said Kurt Schaefer, director of the Department of Natural Resources. Because the Public Service Commission only regulates investor-owned utilities, he said his agency could be regulatory agency because its authority can also be extended to electric cooperatives and municipal utilities. The rules should govern both the setup and operation of solar facilities and what happens when their useful life is over, Schaefer said. In the state of Missouri, we require financial assurance for a whole lot of things, land reclamation for mining activities, wastewater systems, Schaefer said. You really can't put in a small wastewater system for a trailer park without posting a bond. One of the most controversial projects is in Henry County, where there is a 5,000-acre solar farm under construction. The project was developed over several years, but really revealed publicly at the start of 2024. In December of 2024, 2 incumbent commissioners were defeated for re-election. The Henry County Commission approved an incentive package for the solar project that includes $650 million in public-sponsored financing. With the filing of the moratorium bills, construction has picked up pace, said former Henry County Prosecuting Attorney Richard Shields. These moratorium bills would give the state the opportunity to tap the brakes on these projects and get some rules in place. A moratorium would end solar development in Missouri for years, said David Bung of Azimuth Renewables, a solar energy development company in St. Louis. That's not civility, and that's not good governance, and it's not fair to the communities of Missouri that have engaged developers like Azimuth, he said. And Mark Walter, a consultant for solar developers, said the moratorium bill is so broad it would prevent individuals from installing new solar panels in their homes. The need for regulation is real, he said, but must be targeted with bad practices. There are plenty of bad developers out there, Walter said. I joked for a long time that I had a job in policy because those folks and I had to clean up their messes when they would make bad projects that upset locals and end up with state legislation like this. This article again was in the Springfield News-Leader from last week, submitted by Rudy Keller. Tony.
All right, back to the Springfield News-Leader. We're going to talk about how the Springfield Police Department welcomes 24 recruits for its... My bad. The St. Louis Cardinals are set to play the Springfield Cardinals on March 23rd. The Springfield Cardinals are thrilled to host an unforgettable exhibition matchup against the 11-time world champion St. Louis Cardinals at Hammons Field on Monday, March 23rd. Fans can lock in their seats and guarantee access to this historic event by becoming a Red Access member today. Cards versus Cards, presented by Mercy, is anticipated to showcase 225 Gold Glove winner Mason Wynn and Gold Glove finalist Victor Scott II, both former Springfield Cardinals who made their mark at Hammons Field. This exhibition-style game between the two clubs has not happened since 2007. What is a Red Access membership? A Red Access membership is like season tickets, but it's a whole lot better. It's the best way to experience Springfield Cardinals baseball with flexible plans ranging from just 10 games to all 69 regular season games at Hammons Field. There's an option for every fan and every budget starting at just $115. How to become a Red Access member? Get started as one is quick and easy. Fans can sign up in a way that works best for them, getting signed up by phone, email, online, or just stopping by the Springfield Cardinals front office. Once you're signed up, a dedicated ticket representative will be with you every step of the way, ready to help with your ticket exchanges. We'll be excited to see the St. Louis Cardinals and the Springfield Cardinals go head-to-head again on March 23rd. Here you go.
This is from the opinion section of the Springfield Daily Citizen for those of you who are fans of the popular NCIS TV show. Everyone needs a code, from never take anything for granted or always carry a knife. There are some lessons to be learned from TV's NCIS. Do you have rules to live by? Inspired by the television series NCIS, I spent some time thinking about rules I've developed over the years. The television series NCIS started in 2003 as a spin-off of the JAG television series. It is now in its 23rd season. My wife and I are not the only ones who watched this series. In 2024 to 2025, the show drew about 10.6 million viewers per week. If you watch the series, you are familiar with Gibbs' rules. The rules are those of the longtime lead character, Leroy Jethro Gibbs, played by Mart Harmon. The origin of Gibbs' rules is the first meeting at the train station of young Gibbs, Sean Harmon, Mark's son, and his future wife, Shannon. Shannon told Gibbs she was developing a set of rules to live by. The one she identified was never date a lumberjack. Everyone needs a code they can live by, she explained. After they married, Gibbs began writing his own rules on a piece of paper and keeping them in a small tin at his home. Those rules were an integral part of the show. There are 38 rules, but they are numbered 1 through 99. A couple, rules 1 and 3, are duplicated. There are gaps in the order. For example, there are no rules 17, 19, 21, 24, 25, etc. The two most likely explanations for this are ad hoc nature of inserting rules throughout the episode and the lack of research by new writers of the series. Several rules relate to Gibbs's role as a federal agent. Number 1, never let suspects stay together, and number 2, always wear gloves at a crime scene. Here are a few of my rules for 2026. Never expect good decisions from bad people. Believe your eyes, not the lies. Never tell a lie or repeat a lie. It ruins your credibility. And never trust anyone who claims to know everything about everything and is never wrong. Possibly never underestimate Americans' unwavering resolve to be and stay free. Most Americans have gotten very used to the idea that they live in a free country with a democratic system of government, the rule of law, and capitalist economy. And most of us are deeply committed to maintaining that way of life. Anyone who thinks otherwise is misjudging the American spirit. No matter whether you call them rules, principles, or North Stars, beliefs, or a foundation, or all of us need guidelines to help us navigate life and careers. Having them seems especially important in 2026. This article was submitted by Paul Kincaid, an independent who lives in Springfield. He spent 39 years in higher education, public relations, and government relations, and served as chief of staff of 3 university presidents. This was again in the opinion section of the Springfield Daily News. And now back to Tony.
I think it's after time, actually. Gotcha. Thank you for listening to the Blind Community Thrift Store radio reading service. Tune in every week, Monday through Friday, on the Blind Community Thrift Store's YouTube channel at 10 a.m. for more up-to-date news from the Springfield News-Leader, Springfield Daily Citizen, Springfield Business Journal, and the 417 magazine. Listen after we are live on the Audio Reader Network at www.reader.ku.edu. All broadcasts are played over KSMU's subcarrier airwaves at 67 kilohertz on 91.1 from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Contact the Audio Reader Network for more information on receiving a pre-programmed radio. And thank you. Anything you want to sign us off with?